Hello, friends. Once again, welcome to Matrix Media with another edition of Conversations with Imtiaz Gul. Today, our focus is Sri Lanka. Quite turbulent, violent days we have seen in the past few days, arising out of an economic crisis that has led to the resignation of Prime Minister Rajapaksa, and even the president has also been under attack, and several properties have been ransacked, including that of the former prime minister. It's quite a scary situation that the entire South Asia is watching with a lot of curiosity. So to get a sense of what actually has happened, we are today joined by Muheed Jeeran, an international human rights activist, strategist, and lobbyist. And we would like to ask him as to what has gone wrong with Sri Lanka as a whole, or its economic policies. So welcome, Muheed, and obviously the focus is Sri Lanka, and would like to know as to what has really triggered the current situation. What did it take for Sri Lanka to get to this violent end?
Thank you, Imtiaz, for giving this opportunity, and also thank you very much, because I really want to know that Pakistani people also very keen on to what's happening in Sri Lanka as a friend, as a close friend of Sri Lanka in Pakistan. Now the thing is, if you see the Sri Lanka's situation for the last since the independence, the problem is Sri Lanka never find the genuine politicians. The politicians are always selfish. They always work for themselves, they didn't work for their people. So they always making policies in order to keep themselves in power. So that has been built like a time bomb was ticking for some time. And that in 2019, when the current president Gotabaya Rajapaksa won the election, he was actually won with a very slim margin, he got 52%. And he was coming out of he was coming as a politician, like a new boy to the town. Though he was a defense secretary when his brother was the was the president for 10 years. But when Gotabaya Rajapaksa came, and we didn't see that, he was starting to give a lot of incentives, these tax cuts, which is a very bad policy decision by the president. At the time of the Sri Lanka, after he became the president, within a few months later, about 6 months later, Sri Lanka were starting to facing the problem of lockdown, that is pandemic lockdown. And a country like Sri Lanka cannot be able to pay that by closing the country for months. Especially we are always end up in every year with a minus balance of trade. That is that Sri Lanka was experienced for many decades, because of we are depending on imports than the export trading.
Yeah, let me interrupt you here, ask a question, because you're repeatedly referring to COVID, the corona crisis, and the lockdown. Yeah. Would you say that there were underlying ailments, economic ailments in the system, and the COVID-19 pandemic basically precipitated all those underlying factors and triggered this meltdown?
Yeah, things went out of hands, but the president's policies. This is what I'm trying to come out saying, that when 2020 general election, if they don't conduct and they go for an interim government, at least we could have done something. But what the government did is, they went for election. After the election, what happened is president was obsessed with the power. He is he's obsessed with the power. I mean, what he really wanted is he wanted to increase his power. By the time when the country was sliding down due to lockdown and all type of other issues, but he implemented the 20th Amendment with executive power. That means he increased more power, and he got 2/3 majority in the parliament. Thereafter, what happens is he started to make certain policies. For example, he stopped that fertilizers. And he said, we will go for organic, farming, which is not at all been practical at all. It takes about 20, more than 30 to 40 years if you wanted to succeed at least 50% of organic farm in any country, any part of the world. But he was very adamant. that he never listened to the advisors. He always he never listened to even the opposition or analysts. He was just thinking that he's right on everything. But that was like carried slowly in 2021. And the country like Sri Lanka was continued to lock down for some for a longer period. For example, I'll give you a very good example where the president went wrong when it's come to lockdowns. Now, when the lockdowns happen, now if you find about 100 patients positive cases, suddenly there's a spike. Always that's how the lockdown starts. A spike with 100 patients. What happens? The medical health authorities will tell the president, okay, go for a lockdown. But what the president does is he don't go for a lockdown. He don't listen to them, and he wait for some time. So when you wait, what happens? The 100 becomes 1,000. Then only he go for a lockdown. When he goes for a lockdown, what happened? Now, if it is 100, we could have been locked down for the country for about 2 weeks and we can come back to normal. But when it's go to 1,000, it takes about 2 to 3 months.
Yeah, but there's a very interesting point you're raising, that he accumulated too much power, political administrative power in his hands. What do you think were his motives? What had he actually wanted to achieve with this absolute power in his hand?
This is a very interesting question, because one is like I really don't like the president's motive when he's come to this. He has to understand he's a president of Sri Lanka. He's not a president of a particular religion or particular community or a particular race. He has to understand that. But this is the only president who went into after winning the election. He made a statement. This is really disappointed many people. He said that I'm the president for the I'm a president who got elected through the Buddhist majority voters. You can't say like that. End of the day, it doesn't matter whoever voted for you, but the way you have started means like you have given the motivation to the fascist group, especially this nationalist group, to say them that okay, we have a president of ourselves. Our mentality. So that's a very bad precedence he has started. Then later what happens? He was keep on increasing his power. This is the big question: is why does he want to keep on increasing his power? Where because that in 18th when after Mahinda Rajapaksa went he was lost in 2015. Then Sirisena came to power. And the good governance came up with a new amendment to the constitution, that is 19th amendment, to cut off the feathers of that means the wings of the president.
Would you say that this was a tug of war for power between the prime minister and the president, and like a combination of the tug of war between the president and the prime minister and the corruption within the system that basically triggered or precipitated this entire economic meltdown?
The corruption is always there, and the tug of war with the president and the prime minister, because the question was, I raised this question in 2021, the time the president wanted to implement this executive power with this through the 20th amendment. He mentioned there are a few clauses. I made a statement regarding that, mentioned a few clauses. One of the clauses he mentioned that reducing the presidential candidate's eligibility age, it was 35, he made it to 30. So I was like asking, you have to have a valid reason why you are making from 35 to 30. Whom you expected to put into that place? You will be president for the next 5 years. Second thing is what he did is the president can have the power to remove the prime minister. That is like any moment he can be able to remove the prime minister. I forgot that there was a clause he included it. So I asked the question: it's like your brother was the prime minister. Why does he wanted to have this clause at the moment? Does he have a plan? Do you think that the brother will become the threat again in the future? So he wanted to remove his brother. So that was the question was there. But later, this particular, this inflation and his economic meltdown has totally disappointed the general public, and the general public started to agitating against the government, which is like surprisingly went against, especially most of the ordinary people are starting to go against the government. I never thought like a president would have been in Sri Lankan history have been treated in this sort of degraded way. The words of filth has been used by the public against the president in an executive president. It never happened in Sri Lanka. That's the way he went to that lockdown. But,
yeah, that explains actually the story, that this quest for absolute power and also this very self-righteous attitude basically can lead to disaster. Disaster can have disastrous consequences. This is what a number of other countries have also gone through. Also in Pakistan, we are going through very turbulent times, and in the past, we also had a presidential power that was called the Article 58(2)(b), and under that, the president could dismiss the prime minister anytime. So these aberrations, I think, have existed in countries which are still democratically evolving. So thank you very much for filling us in on the current situation in Sri Lanka. Hope to touch base again sometime very soon, hopefully, when the situation has recovered a bit. Thank you very much.